Build deep and complete.
Do you know of the water of life?
What's the big idea? What's the big idea? Original again, start from the heart. Not too in deep. I see, I feel. Mathematics, matrix, institutes, patterns. 1, 2, 3, you learn classic.
Welcome to the Black Open University Show. Rebuilding education from an African place of being. Welcome to the Black Open University Show. Building education from an African place of being.
Welcome back inside Real Talk Reasonings. My name's Kandiva. This is StationFM.ning.com. So glad to have your company today. Sunday, the 10th of May. Got to send shouts and thanks once again to Lyndon Wizard, the inspired diabetic who joined us here for the first hour. We're going to move on swiftly now to our second guest today. Okay, now we move to a totally different area. Okay, maths and science. Okay, we're looking at the future technologies. Okay, as I was saying earlier on, he's returning to Real Talk Reasonings. Astehmari from the Abundance Center, You Learn Naturally, is joining us now to talk with us about this new way forward. Okay, bitcoins. Okay, I didn't know about bitcoins, cryptocurrency. You know, I feel like I'm on Star Trek. You know, that's how far behind I am. The whole blockchain technologies that are actually in motion and moving in society. Okay, and we have or some of us, like myself, got no idea what's going on, but these things are going to be up and running, by the time our children and our nephews and nieces are mature adults. Okay, because they are already in the system now. Okay, who laughed about paper money, plastic money? Who laughed about that? Yeah, me too. But look at it. It's as common as muck now. Yeah? And it's going nowhere. Okay? And I believe that blockchain and cryptocurrencies and things like that are going to come in and be as common as the credit card. Some people say money isn't real. There is actually no actual money. It's only given a value because the government give it a value. Okay? So we just take it as such. Okay, so if money isn't actually real, then surely there can then be cryptocurrencies. There can be currencies that exist within that whole sector. So my mind is open to receive this information because it's very real. Okay, let's meet Astehmari. Hello, Astehmari. Hashima Astehmari.
Respectful greetings to all ones. Thank you, Candice, for setting up this wonderful show and opportunity to share our developments. And yes, it's a very important topic. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure to learn about it from you, and at the same time as a lot of our listeners. It's my absolute pleasure. It's an honor because I know how busy you are with the Abundance Center. You've got so much work going on, maths and science, and providing these platforms, these education streams for our young people and for elders and older people, mature adults as well, is just, you're the only person that I know that's actually doing this kind of work. So it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you. How should we begin, Candice? Where would you like me to start?
Well, let me see now. Well, shall we start at the beginning? Could you explain, please, what is blockchain and what is cryptocurrency? What is a Bitcoin? And what is that these new currencies, and why are they needed? Even why are they needed? Maybe why are they here?
Okay, we'll speak on these things, but if I was to start then at the very beginning, let me give some context. So I am Astehmari Batekun. I am the chair for Abundant Centres UK Development Trust. We're a learner cooperative, and an umbrella organisation set up to help incubate more member trusts. A member trust is basically a collective of people. It could be in all sorts of different areas, any area where there can be learning. A collective of people who want to have an association, a formal association structure, and to have an excellent model constitution, which we provide. So we set up and support member trusts who are interested in learnership. We're especially focused on what we call steamed up learning. Now, steamed up learning is essentially STEM plus the arts. And STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. So we are very interested in science, technology, engineering, and math from an African place of being. And the cultural arts that we use to explore these things comes now into a form that is called unified knowledge. So we provide to our organization members, both as individuals and as member trust entities, support with the unified knowledge approach to learning. Just to give a hint of that, because some people may not have heard of that, it's a way of teaching where you can use music and dance to teach core ideas of math and science, fundamental ideas, and the practicalities. And so young people can learn in a way that is aesthetic and experiential, rather than seeing something written on a board away from you or hearing words spoken at you. You can do an activity where you're inside the principles of the math and science, and thereby expressing it, bringing it out of oneself. So my background is like this. I am the principal teacher for Unified Knowledge, and so we've got a lot of developments around that. Abundant Centres is an opportunity for cooperatives to form around any learning, but then to have it enhanced with that approach. So moving kind of swiftly on, there's a lot in between the beginning of our organization and this point here, but just to sort of jump straight into our most recent development, which is around the blockchain, the blockchain and crypto currencies and technologies. So I was keen to come on your show because I wanted to share something of our journey. This is a space I've observed, this blockchain space. I'm going to explain what it is in a minute, don't worry. But I've been observing this space and the people in it and the dynamics around it for years, for many, many years. I have taken time early on to set up access into it, but I've left it in a certain place where I can observe it, I can hear the best practices, see how some of the ideas are unfolding. And now is a special time to really get very active in it. I've come to see many things for it, and I want to share that. So we're forming a new learner cooperative around this thing. Okay, so what is it? What is this blockchain? The blockchain is essentially a ledger, a way of keeping track of transactions and assets and dynamics between those things. It keeps a track of it, and you people might think, well, you just have normal accounting can do that. You could say maybe it's like a database. Maybe you could say it's a bit like this. However, it's set up in such a way that there are many points that are keeping the same record, so that any change in the system is recorded in multiple places, meaning that it can't be corrupted. You can't damage the history. Right, so this fact is really the basis of the innovation, that it is decentralized, meaning that there's not one central server where everything is stored on the blockchain. The blockchain is a network of millions of machines, keeping record, duplicating records, verifying that the records are the same, verifying that the history is unchanged, and checking new events. As new events occur, new transactions occur, whether it be someone sends some resource from one person to another, as soon as a transaction takes place, there is a mechanism in this blockchain system for that to be validated. And after a certain moment, it becomes unchangeable. So this is the space, this is the blockchain space. And that sounds simple, but it sets up a platform for many new technologies. And on top of that now, the Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin is simply one application that can use the blockchain. But there are many. There are many that exist, and there are many more that will come. And so, for me, the really important thing about this learner cooperative that we're starting now is that the area is still very, very open for innovation, and specifically, it's very open for diversity. There is an imbalance in the blockchain community in terms of the demographic of people who are there now, who are leading it, shaping it. There's an imbalance. And as you know, where there is imbalance, there is poor health. So this is the thing. It's very important not only for us to go in there as communities of different cultures, multiple cultures of the globe. Particularly, I'm interested in Africa and Southeast Asia, but especially it's important to bring diversity into the space, not only for those regions in themselves, but actually for the whole blockchain community world. Otherwise, it will end up perpetuating injustices because of the inherent imbalance and the problems that come from that. So, anyway, the blockchain summary, the blockchain is a ledger. It keeps track of things, of transactions, of assets, and dynamics between the assets. Once it's set, you can't change it because too many other machines have the same record. It's practically now impossible for corruption to take place inside of the history of things. So no one can change the history. Whereas if you had one server, the person who controls the server, maybe they can go in, change some numbers here and there, make something look different. You can't do that with the blockchain. So that's the base.
Okay.
So Bitcoin is an application on it, which is now a way that you can exchange value. The token idea, the Bitcoin as a coin, a currency, is now a unit, a digital unit that you can exchange, and that unit keeps its integrity as it moves around. Some people are seeing it as a store of value. They're trying to equate it directly to money. There are a lot of arguments about this in the space, whether it is actually money. But the fact is, value can be moved about with it. That's really the simple bottom line to it. And it's the leader, it's the dominant cryptocurrency. There are others like Ethereum, but let me stop and let's talk a bit more.
Okay, I don't know where to start. That was very interesting. Why is there a need for this for blockchain technologies? Is it all about securing finance and assets? And if so, what about securing messaging? You know, like I don't know, WhatsApp groups and things like this. I mean, does it also come into to applications like status?
It does. It does. It's
Hi everyone, I'm Paul, and this is Cryptography, where we unlock crypto for the masses. Today I'm really excited to talk about status.im, the app, no, DApp, distributed app that I'm most excited about in the entire crypto space today. I'm excited for a few key reasons, and I'll go through those right now. First, it's built on the Ethereum platform, which is really the cutting edge technology in crypto today. Next, it has a really killer design that's based on a WeChat, kind of like WhatsApp type interface, which makes it really easy for people to send crypto back and forth, and leads me to my next point, it's a gateway to all Ethereum applications. You can search for all these really cool new apps that are being built on Ethereum, just like Status, but you can use Status to get to them. Next, it has secure messaging, which exists in this peer-to-peer way, where no one central source has all of your info. It's all peer-to-peer and end-to-end encrypted. Next, and finally, and most importantly, it's potentially crypto's killer app, which will allow the masses to finally get into this cool new technology space.
You love Naturally Radio.
You learn naturally radio.
You learn naturally radio.
Yes.
Radio.
Is it all about securing finance and assets? And if so, what about securing messaging? You know, like I don't know, WhatsApp groups and things like this. I mean, does it also come into to applications like status?
It does. It does. It's more than a finance tool, and finance underpins pretty much all technology development, but it can be used for decentralized cloud storage, decentralized messaging, and just about, well, any sort of thing really. To give you an example, it's possible to take some assets that a person has that couldn't be split up practically, but then to digitize it, have it on the blockchain, so it's in an agreement that can't be changed in terms of the history of the agreement. You can change agreements going forward if you have consensus, but the history of an agreement won't be changed. And then sell parts of it. So to make that very, very practical, let's say you had a house. Let's say you had a big mansion. Mm-hmm. You had a castle. You have a castle, and your castle needs renovation, but you don't have the money to keep renovating it. Mm-hmm. And you want to raise funds to renovate the castle and keep it maintained, keep it in top shape. You might decide to put it into the blockchain space, turn it into an asset so that the castle can be split into 1 million pieces of assets, and then 1 million people could buy a small piece of it. Thereby, they put a small investment in, the large sum is raised, the work can be done, the asset grows in value, and then perhaps those people might see some return on their investment. They might do it out of just goodwill to say we want to see it alive. We just buy the token because we want to give that way. But they might do it because they want to go to the castle, or they want to perhaps see a return on their investment. If it is an investment, there is an issue around whether a token, a coin, whether these things are investments or they are utility tokens. So there's some lines around that, but essentially you can digitize just about anything, as long as there's an agreement for it. And if you make a public agreement that your castle has been digitized into 1,000 pieces, and each piece is worth £10, then, well, 1,000,000 pieces, and each piece is worth £10, then there's £10 million. That's then the worth of your assets. If you raise that, then you can use that to do the work. When you've done the work, if the castle's value increases to 20 million, then there might be a space there to return some reward to those who invested in it or those who contributed to it. There are opportunities like this.
So it sounds a bit like share capital.
Right, it does sound like shares, and I'm putting it like that because I think this is the way that most people come to it, seeing it as something like an investment. But I have to caveat that to say that there are regulatory borders between the thing that are securities and shares, these kind of value transfers, and things that are utility tokens, things that are used to gain access to services without necessarily depending on some other organization to be there, or there are rules between these two ways. One way being a security and one way not being a security. A security, when I say security, I mean a financial security.
Okay.
As in a share or a stock or a bond, this kind of thing.
Okay.
So I have used the language like that because that is the language that I think most people will first hear about crypto.
Oh, okay.
It's more subtle. And we'll be doing that in our learner cooperative. We'll be exploring the difference between these things and the value of all these roads.
Okay, so could you explain the difference between centralized, say, cloud storage and decentralized cloud storage?
Okay, I will. Before I do, I don't think I answered your question though. I'm just trying to. I don't think I quite answered your question.
Sorry.
You were asking about why it's important.
Yes, please.
Right. So I've said in terms of the asset, but decentralization is also a way of bringing and perhaps a new kind of democracy, a new kind of equality amongst people. When things are centralized, the central authority starts to grow a certain power from that position, and then corruption can happen, and the power imbalances can be bad. Whereas the basic decentralized idea is an egalitarian one. So there's something in the broader democracy movement, and I think that it's important for this reason. I think in terms of African communities, Pan-Africa and Southeast Asian communities, and communities globally, I focus on two because that's our remit at the moment, but it has a global potential, it has a global benefit.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
In terms of democracy, freedom, transparency, these are the reasons why you should have it. When you have a central point, that central point becomes quickly secured and private, so you can't see what's going on at the central point. Whereas this blockchain we're talking about, anyone with a little bit of insight could go onto the internet and see what any given address is doing and how different transfers are going on. They could read it. It's transparent like that.
I see.
It's
now
open
I've got
source.
you. Now I've got you. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's open source. The things that are being built on it, like the applications that are being built on it, they're open source, which means that the coding is transparent. They display it. They publish it. So you could read the code. You could innovate the code, make a new thing, a better thing. And that's part of the idea. So even all these big companies, there are big launches, crypto launches. They launch themselves as what they call ICOs, initial coin offerings, and raise hundreds of millions of pounds. you could go on a website and see the contract, the coding behind that application. And if you learned how to do it, you could innovate that thing and make it better.
Okay.
It's open source.
Okay, I've seen that code. I've seen that reference, ICO. I have seen it over I'd say over the last couple of years. I've noticed it, and I didn't actually understand what it was and what it stood for, because so you explaining it like that has just really opened up my understanding of what the ICOs are. When they refer to it as this acronym, and it kind of washes over. Right, okay, I don't know what that means, but let me listen to what the rest of what this person is saying, or read the rest of this article. Initial coin offerings. Okay.
Initial coin offering. Let me expand a bit on that then, just to clarify that even further. So, because that's something that's a very exciting thing that I want to announce on your show. Something special that we're doing. It's news, brand new, and I'm very pleased to announce it on your show. But before I do it, to explain.
Okay.
So these things, which are called cryptocurrencies and crypto tokens, and these applications built on the blockchain space, they have what are called smart contracts. Smart contract is basically code that just interacts with other contracts and other, let's say, entities in the computing space. They're not just like a paper contract. You write it, you would read a thing and you just see it there, but they are interactive. So they're smart contracts. Now, when you've secured your token, when you build a token, and you have established the reason for it, if you like, the business case or the venture case for it, what it's going to do, how it's going to work, who it's going to benefit, such things like this. If there is value in that, then you can put it into what's called an ICO, which is an initial coin offering. And into that now, you then offer your token to the public so that they can buy it. And when they buy it, then they are buying into the value that has been expressed. And many of the initial coin offerings, in fact, most of them, are raising funds for things that don't yet exist.
Wow.
In fact, I would say, well over 90% of them have raised funds based on what's called a white paper, which is essentially like a business plan.
Uh-huh.
And in doing that, they're saying, we've developed this token, we've got a very great plan for it, we've worked out the details of how it's going to go, and we need this investment, investment's not the best word to use. We need this. This is what we are willing to sell this thing for. If you put it in, then we can do that work. I think that's the bottom line to it. If you put money into this, then we can do the work we said we're going to do in the white paper.
Okay.
And if people like it, if they like the idea, then they buy it. Now,
and they buy it with a cryptocurrency, or they buy it with bitcoins.
Well, they buy it with whatever money they have. They buy it with fiat currency, which is, let's say, paper money. That's your pounds, your yen, your dollars, your euros. You can buy cryptocurrencies and tokens with that. There are ways to do that. Or if you have cryptocurrencies and tokens, then you can trade those things for this other thing.
So the trading would be for that. You mentioned a castle earlier on, and it being broken up into bits, so to speak. So that currency would be bought to buy your bit of that business plan, that idea, that white paper.
Right.
That white paper.
That's right. That's of the actual venture, the actual dynamic.
Which is the white paper.
That's right. The white paper explains the dynamic. Yes.
Oh, very interesting, Astehmari Batekun.
It is very interesting.
And the thing is, this has been going on now in the upper echelons of finance, away from us. I mean, we're all dealing with Aldi's on the high road, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, our main high street banks, our cash currencies. Some of us will have ISAs or some other kind of, financial investment, that are on what I would call quite a basic level. And I say basic now because I can see that there's a whole other level that we haven't even, we're not even aware of, and nor have we had the opportunity to use our paper money, this old money in this new financial world.
Well, what I would say, you're right. You're absolutely right. We haven't. The opportunity is there, but it's been very masked and very. It's not easy to enter both the knowledge of it or the practicalities of it. And most people working in the blockchain community space are actively trying to onboard people. They're trying to engage people to develop products and services that make it easier and easier to access the space, because it's not easy. But what I have to add in terms of our reasoning, and when you make the comparison to like the standard financial instruments, ISAs and bank accounts and so on, things like this, shares, and the blockchain finance, the bit finance space it's not backed in the same way as a bank. So there is notable risk involved in funds in there. There have been, I mean, this is the caveat to the great potential that is there, is that there have been many coin offerings that haven't worked out, and people have put funds in and it hasn't worked out, and they've been disappointed by that, or simply had to learn from it. So it's a very, very dynamic space. It's a cutting edge space. There are many agencies in the blockchain crypto world who are trying to keep or develop stability for that, to try and stabilize it. And there are also regulators, national regulators, are coming closer and closer to it in their knowledge and their management of the space. So the thing is becoming stabilized in a certain way, but at its heart, it's the essence of blockchain, and the essence of those people who at the heart of it is to liberate a kind of freedom, which is a new order, which comes outside of the what we know as normal government and regulation. It comes outside of it. It challenges it. I think it will challenge possibly the best, in my opinion, the best way forward would be that some nation embraces the thing completely and just becomes that space where this thing can exist freely. And then they will have broken out from the world governance. But until such time, there's a tussle between the history and the future. Yeah. It's challenging like that. It's definitely, I say again, it's not a space that you can say, I compare this to my saving investment that I've got in my Abbey National saving account. It's not the same as that. Although there are many projects and applications that offer saving plans and investment plans to yield returns. They offer these things. They're worth exploring, but you have to explore it with doing your research, doing counsel, and being prepared to know the risk and accept the risk. It's as simple as that. And having said that, I've been looking for a long time at what is the application for the poorer communities of the world for this thing. Because at this point in time, most regular people in the world just don't know how to access this thing, let alone people who are poorer than the average Western society person. They're far away from accessing the space. So what possible benefit could there be for them, for us, in that? And I have come to see that there's an opportunity to develop a token, a new kind of token, allows the wealth in the world, particularly the wealth in the blockchain community, to focus its attention on equality, and allow funds to go into educational programs that will enhance the educational base of the poorer communities. And so we've developed, this is my launch now, you know.
Okay.
We have developed a new token called EqualityToken. We have developed a new token called EqualityToken.
Okay.
And this token will be used to enhance the accessibility of the blockchain to poorer communities in Africa and East Asia. So we are working through with various partners and developers around this, but we have taken enough of a landmark movement into it for me to be able to say it to you now.
Wow, how exciting! Oh my goodness. Now, I mean, this is all brand new to me, but it just sounds so interesting and so exciting when we look at our future. I mean, you mentioned the risk, and I thought that was very fair of you to do that, because there is risk with anything. Look at how many banks and building societies have gone down. Look at how many people have invested in their pensions and lost money so there is risk involved in finance anyway. ISAs, TESAs, all these things that have happened over the years in our lifetimes. We've all watched it on the news. So there's risk regardless.
You're right.
Yes.
I mean, these things, they come in you asked a really good question at the very beginning when you were introducing this part of the show. And you asked about currency. Is it real? And actually, it is most definitely a trust tool and a human social construct, and has variations that are not underpinned by logic everywhere. There is so much imbalance in the way that currency flows. I would bring people's attention to the word currency. Currency, it relates to current. And when you think of current, you can think of
flow.
Maybe the flow, the river,
yes.
The way the river goes.
Yes.
And when you think of river, if you have a nice meandering river, then you have river banks. And so you have banks in the current. Right.
And we have flow charts. Flow charts are always used with money. Oh my days. Astehmari. Look, our eyes are open to this kind of matrix behavior of the system. Yeah, the system that we live in, and the things that we abide by without question. Yeah, that we just take as is, and we believe in them, and we trust in them, and we allow them to tie us up in mortgages and interest rates and, you know, commitment to working in a certain way because we've got to pay this and we've got to pay that and this. And we just accept that these things are all there is, and that is the way that it is. But you've just opened up our eyes to the language of currency and finance, and these things that
there's more to that.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I've just had an epiphany. Excuse me for butting in. But
No, please do share it.
But go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The business of the river and
Incredible.
the bank, the current of the river and the bank, because obviously rivers, they bring water. Water is life,
Yeah.
and nutrition comes along with the river as well. Along that, water is life. So the issue that we have today, and historically, is that some. Well, let me give you an example. Well, my family's from Jamaica, and I have a beloved past uncle, and we have a house out there. There's one of the houses near a river, and I watched how my uncle constructed stones to set the navigation of the river, depending on some different function that he had to do. He would lay out the rock so that the thing moved in its certain way, and then he would get different benefits from these different arrangements. And it was at that time, I was young when I first saw that. It was profound for me to see a person controlling the river like this. But the situation we have today, and historically, is that some societies have controlled the river so that in their land it meanders. And when it meander means it's going to keep bending and looping and bending and looping. And the more it bends and it loops, is the richer the land is going to be around it. The more fertile, the more abundant the land will be. There'll be more riverbanks, more creatures around it, better ecosystem. Wonderful. Some advanced ones do that, and that's very good. But the issue is that in some other parts of the world, their land is deliberately made so that the river goes straight through. One line, no meandering, no banking, no way for internal and abundant internal ecosystem around currency and banking. Now, that arrangement is unjust.
Yeah.
And the agencies that set that up have to stop.
Yeah.
Now, that arrangement is unjust.
Yeah.
And the agencies that set that up have to stop.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental issue. Now, the blockchain and the crypto space provide some opportunities, possibly. I'm still testing it, but possibly there are some opportunities to reset those very, very bad arrangements of the currency. Currency, and we're using metaphors here, but currency is life force. You know, it's people's dynamics, it's value.
Yeah, you can't do anything without money. You can't do anything without
Well,
money.
I'm taking it more than money. Currency, I'm broadening it out. It's money. We're talking money, but we're also talking about people's efforts. For example, if you channel a group of people so they only work one way, let's say you take 100,000 hectares of land, you plant one thing there, and you make everyone work all of that land for that one thing, then all of that energy is in one direction. There's lack of diversity, and so there's room for stagnation and a lack of abundance in the ecosystem of that area. It becomes dependent on one thing, one flow, one direction. And so the metaphor goes to many levels, and it's problematic to where rivers need to meander, they should meander. And if they've been made to be too straight, then local people should correct it so that the system can flow and you can have internal local banks.
Yes.
Now that's part of the power of this blockchain, is that each person, this is really the punchline, each person, every single person who can access the internet to this blockchain could become their own bank.
Wow.
Effectively.
Wow.
And so upon that, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, because they can have their own white papers. Yes.
Even without white papers, even without a business.
Okay.
I mean, when I say their own bank, I mean that if you have £10,000 worth of EqualityToken, let's say.
Yes.
Let's use that one there.
Yes, yes.
So you have £10,000 of EqualityToken,
Yeah.
and you decide that you want to send it to 10 schools in Africa.
Yeah.
And when you send each one their portion of your 10,000, you know that thing is going to transform each school's whole dynamic.
Yeah.
You can do that dynamically,
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah.
You can do it directly. It doesn't have to go through any other agency. If they have a wallet to receive it and you have it in your wallet to send it, you can send it in seconds. It will be with them, and then it's there. No intermediary.
Okay. Is there things like interest on equality tokens, bitcoins, that whole kind of cryptocurrency? Is there interest and things like that? Does that exist?
It's not the word interest. I wouldn't use that word with it because that implies investment as such.
Yeah.
But the fact is that these things change in value. So, for example, the Bitcoin, a few weeks ago, Bitcoin was $6,000 or so. Now it's come up to 10,000. So it shifted. Well, I say maybe a little bit more than a few weeks, but it's been making a steady increase. And I've watched it increase. I've closely monitored it since it was at about 8,000, and it's now got to 10. So if you had, if you had £10,000, then you're going to make significant increase on it. That's profit. You could call it that, definitely. If you had that kind of Bitcoin before it went up, then you had it, then it goes up in value. You didn't do anything while it was going up, you just kept it. And then when it goes up, if you sell it, then you've got a profit. And this is a trading business. People are in the marketplace trading it like this, trying to work out, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? When is the time to buy? When is the time to sell? And all of the currencies, all the tokens, they're being moved about like this. So it is similar to the share, stock, bonds market like this, but there are fundamental differences. And persons who go into it should know the differences. This is why we set up our learner cooperative. And persons who go into it should know the differences. This is why we set up our learner cooperative. I should mention at this point abundancecenter.org, our website, abundancecenter.org, because on that page there, that's a home page, but there's a link there, there's an image talking about the new cooperative, and persons can find out how to join our cooperative if they want to get involved in the learnership of this. So, learning is the key. And we, having worked in diverse communities for decades, focused around teaching STEM creatively, I know the challenges.
Sorry to cut you. That is science, technology,
engineering
and maths. Got it.
Through cultural arts, through the arts. The arts is key because most schools and colleges and universities, they speak about STEM. They'll have a STEM department or leaders that are coordinating the science, technology, engineering, and math departments under STEM. That's a standard thing. But STEAM is the natural way. That is the way that fits better with our traditions. But it takes a skilled practitioner to be able to use cultural arts to teach math and science properly to the specification of examinations. We have programs where we're teaching the GCSE math level 9. The program's called Level Being 9, which is the highest standard, using this pedagogy of creative approaches towards the math and science. So it's not a light touch of art just to give it a bit of colour. it's a fundamental enhancement on the way that the math, science, technology, and engineering are learned. Unified knowledge.
Unified knowledge, because you learn naturally.
You learn naturally radio.
You learn naturally radio.
You learn naturally radio.
Yes.
Radio.
That's right.
Because
You
we
learn
learn naturally. It's a much more natural way of learning if you make
That's
it
right.
if you make it interactive, creative, and more interesting for the young people that are learning it. You know.
That's right.
I think that's a brilliant way of helping, especially children, youngsters to learn.
Absolutely.
Some challenged people, youngsters, you know, they find, you know, they take in knowledge much easier outside of the chalkboard classroom. You know, when they can.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And we often get commissioned by schools to go and do that kind of work, working with children, regular full schools. Like, we work with the whole school across the UK. We work with schools that are of all kinds of demographic, but it's England, so standard schools, fine. But often schools will say, okay, we have some particular group that has some special need or what they perceive as a disadvantage, and we need assistance with them. But also for me, it's equally important for what is called the gifted and talented, because those ones also need enhanced ways to take their own natural ease with certain learning. There are even better ways for them. But having said all of that, I don't actually agree with the segregation of persons into disadvantaged or the excluded and the gifted and talented. Those dynamics, that also needs to change, so that
Yes.
we assess what is really meant by that and avoid stigmatizing people or just confusing people with those labels.
Yes. Astehmari, I've just noticed the time. We are out of time. Yes, and I have to finish at 3:00 because the next presenter, Bob Robbo Ranks, who's the bona fide one, hasn't been in the studio to have his show for a few weeks, so he's returning today. So I can't tarry and cut into his time. So, but I'd just like to congratulate you on the launch of the Equality Token. And
Equality Token.
Yes.
It's not quite launched yet. We are beginning. I'm announcing that we are going to launch it.
Okay then. Okay.
There's
The
a space
announcement.
between now and the launch. I'm announcing that we are going to launch it.
Okay then. Okay. The
Space
announcement.
between now and the launch.
What's up, guys? It's Blue here, and you're watching Blockchain Central. In today's episode, we'll take a closer look at ICOs. Is it something you should be spending your hard-earned cash on, or is it not? As always, please note that the content does neither represent financial, legal, or tax advice, nor is it supposed to be understood or interpreted as solicitation to buy or sell any securities, coins, or tokens. Surely you came across the term ICO. You might have also heard of recent success stories and how much money a company can make in just a few hours when being involved with an ICO. I'm pretty sure you've also met people who warn you against that too. But what exactly is an ICO? How does it work? How can you profit from it? Is it a safe investment? Let's start by having a closer look at the word ICO. ICO is the abbreviation for Initial Coin Offering. This expression describes a relatively new way of crowdfunding. ICOs are mainly issued by early-stage companies coming from the cryptocurrency sector. The so-called initial coin is more of a digital voucher or a utility token, as the intended cryptocurrency does not exist yet. That way, individuals can invest in a cryptocurrency at an early stage, before it actually exists. In many cases, investors acquire a so-called ERC20 token, which later entitles the investor to an exchange for the newly created cryptocurrency on the new blockchain. If the company's efforts realizing the projects are successful, the coins will one day hit the cryptocurrency exchanges. Investors will then be able to sell them at a premium as demand for the currency hopefully increases. An ICO therefore provides the opportunity to invest in early stage projects without actually getting a stake in the company, as would be the case with IPOs, initial public offering. Please remember that an ICO does not entitle shareholders to dividends, nor does it automatically carry voting rights. In contrast to IPOs, where the stakeholder is interested in the company itself, ICOs have their main focus on the future project. Are you ready to invest? Here's how it's done. To invest in an ICO, in most cases, you don't need euros or dollars, but cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin or Ether. After you have found a project you like during your research, you should carefully read the white paper which specifies the purpose for which the money will be used and expected completion of the project. Take your time as you read, as you should be sure to invest in the right project. You may have to wait a little while before you can invest, as most token sales will only open at a certain point in time. Once the token has been opened, you can exchange your cryptocurrency for the token of the ICO. To do this, you transfer requested cryptocurrency from your wallet to the wallet of the company which is organizing the ICO. After you have completed this transaction, you may have to wait a little while before your token is shown in your wallet. This transfer may take a few days or even weeks. If the money collected is not enough to finance the project, it will be returned to the investors. As you can see, it's really not that difficult to participate in an ICO. For now, you can sit back and watch the progress of the project. Don't see your investment as a way to make quick profit, but rather as a long-term investment. But wait, don't forget that every investment is not only an opportunity, but also a risk. An investment is only a chance, but not a guarantee to multiply your invested capital. This especially holds true to most ICOs. Investors neither have full transparency about the use of the invested money, nor do they know how the legislator will regulate this type of crowdfunding in the future. So be prepared to lose your invested capital and only invest the money you can afford to lose. Investing in an ICO is a great opportunity to participate in potentially innovative and disruptive projects at an early stage. Not only do you have an outlook on a good return of investment, but you also help young and ambitious entrepreneurs to turn great ideas into reality. If you are aware of the risk involved in the investment, you have a lot of fun to see projects grow as you are actively involved in them. By the way, Ethereum also started as an ICO. Now it's your turn to find the next big thing. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, share it with others, and don't forget to subscribe to Blockchain Central to never miss a beat. Happy investing.
I'm announcing that we are going to launch it.
Ah, okay then. Okay. The announcement
between now and the launch. AbundanceCenter.org, that's the website to go to get information and join our new learner cooperative to learn about these things, learn about the space. And obviously, people who join are going to get a closer view of our special projects.
Excellent. That's AbundanceCenter.org. Okay,
that's right.
And we are, and so if you want to find out anything else, you want to join, you got any questions, oh sorry that you couldn't get through today, but we will be having Astehmari. Will you come back again?
It will be an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant, because I feel like we've barely even scratched the surface of this
There's
subject.
a lot more. Don't worry, we'll do perhaps we'll have a series of conversations about this space.
Brilliant. Yes, please. Okay, with that, I must say Hashima, and
respect to you.
Respect to you. Have a blessed day, and thank you also for all the work that you are doing over there at the Abundance Center. You learn naturally, and also with regards to the event that we had on Wednesday.
Thank you.
So
And likewise to you as well for all your sterling work.
Oh.
You are a real vanguard for the community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bless you. Peace.
Hashima.
Got me thanking God for life.
Wow.
I can't explain.
Wow. Okay. So, without any further ado, that is it for Real Talk Reasonings. Got to say thank you very much to Astehmari Batekun, and also to Lyndon Wizard, the Inspired Diabetic. Thank you to each and every one of you for keeping your ears locked this way. This has been Real Talk Reasonings. You're on Station FM, the big one. Hold tight, keep safe, all right?
Station FM, still setting the pace for others to follow.
Welcome to Status, your gateway to the decentralized web. As we become more connected via technology, we become part of a seemingly endless network of institutions and third-party services claiming to make our lives easier. These institutions serve as a trusted middleman to help facilitate our transactions. While this may sound great, serious problems exist. We now have a fragmented system of identities and passwords. We have placed far too much of our personal data in the hands of others, and we have given too much power to banks and legal systems. Luckily, there is another way. Enter the decentralized web and the Ethereum public blockchain. The blockchain is a decentralized database that stores a registry of assets, smart contracts and transactions across a globally connected peer-to-peer network. If used to its full potential, it will fundamentally change our conception of how the internet, finance, and law works. And it can completely eliminate our reliance on trusted third parties. It's not an app. It's not a company. It's not owned by anyone. Rather, it's an open system owned by everyone. So how do we interact with the next generation of the internet? How do we ensure it remains decentralized? Introducing Status. Just as browsers provide a gateway to websites and institutions, Status provides a gateway to decentralized apps and services. More than an app, Status is a community, governed by its own users, and gives access to a world free from controlling interests and censorship. It works with a number of decentralized apps built on Ethereum to replace your wallet and bank, combining them with a messenger and browser. Simply put, Status is an open portal to the future web. Meet Justin. Justin has recently moved from London to LA. It's a sunny morning, and Justin is ready to get his day started. He gets dressed, grabs his cell phone, and hits the road, feeling empowered with the capabilities of Status in his pocket. First stop is the local coffee shop. No wallet? No problem. Justin pays for his coffee with Ether from his Status wallet. While waiting for his coffee, he checks his stock portfolio and sees gold is up big overnight. Cha-ching! Time to cash out some of his holdings. Justin opens up Status and trades a portion of his Digix gold tokens for a more stable currency. Not content with his gold earnings, he heads back to Status and starts scanning Ethlance for some work. He is a graphic designer and looking for a freelance gig. Within seconds, he finds numerous companies in his field looking for people just like him. He is in luck. He quickly finds a 2-week freelance gig for a local agency. They message back almost immediately. He is perfect for the job. They just need some background information before finalizing the contract. Via Uport, Justin shares the requested credentials to prove his identity. Justin has now paid for a coffee, conquered the markets, and landed a job, all while using Status. He has done this freely, without middlemen, and on his own terms. Status makes all of this possible in a simple and seamless way. Join Status now and become part of the decentralized web.
They make observations to build explanations and estimations based on known information. So, what you know about STEM? Mathematics and science, engineering, technology. If you take a look back through history, science and maths evolved to
I myself would like to be a scientist too.
Okay, that's good.
And in the Abundance Centre, maths is helping me in science as well, because I hear that scientists use maths to do science.
It was really good to see children who don't normally come forward in a lesson to really shine.
hydrogen, helium, then lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon, then sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon and phosphorus and sulfur and chlorine and argon, and then potassium, calcium, scandium, titanium,
the idea of maths being done.
It was good. We developed maths. Yeah, like usually I hate maths, but now it just gets you into it.
Okay, I see. That's the idea.
So what we're doing is broadening our horizon.
This whole thing of being in touch with my brain.
Yeah, no good. I've really enjoyed the day. Thank you.
And you know,
And I found it very interesting and very extremely actually abundant, and helps me with my skills and versatility.
I found it amazing.
So what you bring to the day is very important. It's also very unique.
I myself would like to be a scientist too.